Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode. I know that I often usually talk about the physical imbalances that can lead to sleep issues. And I actually want to take a break from that this week and give you a tool that you can use to help with fear, worry, any of those thoughts that might be keeping you awake at night. And this idea has come to me because there is a lot of talk about the economy, about what's going to happen, about a possible recession. And so I think that a lot of us get really scared when hearing those things. And so I want to give you a tool to be able to deal with that better and kind of see the truth of what that could mean for you. Now, I'm 45 years old, so I have seen the ups and downs of the economy. I have lived through a recession that happened in 2008. And I consider myself very lucky because in that recession, I wasn't very affected by it. I live in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and I was also waitressing back then. And so, even though there was all this talk about a recession, it did not affect me directly financially at all in what I was doing. Now, it did affect me because I bought a condo with my boyfriend at the time in 2006. So we totally got into the hype of the market and thought that we had to get in before it was too late. And so we bought uh, real estate at the peak of the when prices were the highest. And then it crashed a year and a half later. Now, we were very fortunate in that we were still able to make the mortgage payments. We didn't lose our condo or anything like that. But we did break up. And because the economy crashed and the condo wasn't worth as much anymore, I had to hold on to it. We held on to it for 10 years until it got back to the value that it was before. And so I was doing that with an ex-boyfriend who wasn't acting like a great guy at the time, and so it was very stressful. But I just wanna let you know that I've been through that, so I see this perspective that everything ebbs and flows, right? Including the economy, and we have been in this, a decade or more of a lot of prosperity. Then there was a lot of uncertainty with COVID, but didn't seem to be as big a deal as we thought it would be. And now there's talk of this looming recession. So I just hope that you can keep in mind that everything goes up and down, and that's how it is. And yes, it's going to affect some people more than others, but I want to give you a tool of how you can deal with this if this is what you are worried about at night. And so this does involve some journaling because there really is power in getting thoughts out of your head onto paper. And so that really helps your mind be able to release them. And so you aren't continuing to try to problem solve all the time and thinking the same thoughts over and over again so that your brain can remember them. So I really recommend writing this down and and this is going to help get those fears out of your brain and onto paper. And I actually learned this exercise from Marie Forleo. If you're in the business world, you may have heard of her. She's a business coach. She wrote a book called Everything is Figure Outable, which I have taken to be my motto for my business as well, that everything is figure outable and taken that motto for my life. But she is the one who gave me this idea for this really specific journaling exercise that I think can really help with these kind of doom and gloom thoughts. So it's really simple. So there are two steps. First of all, step one, you want to write down your worst fears. And you want to keep writing until you get to the bottom of your fears. So we can say, oh, I'm afraid of a recession, but really it's how that's going to affect you that is your fear. Are you afraid you're going to lose your job? Are you going to afraid you're going to lose money? What is that actual fear? And then what is that going to mean for you if you lose your job? Then it's the fear of not being able to pay the bills and support the family. So you just want to keep getting down to the bottom of it. That's what I mean by that. What does each of those things mean? Recession, lose job, support family, yeah, whatever that might mean. Continue writing that down to get it all out. And then step two is you're going to write step by step what you're going to do if those fears actually come true. So let me give an example. So let's say one of my fears is losing all my savings. Let's say we can't work for a few months. My husband and I go through all of our savings and we have nothing left. Now that makes me feel very panicked and extremely uncomfortable, even though I know that having savings, like the point of that is for these times. But I realize that I'm also going to feel ashamed and embarrassed to admit that something happened that made me need this money. So whether it's my business didn't work or it's an emergency or whatever it is. So let's say that that's my fear. And step two is then I'm going to write step by step how I'll solve this. So I know that as soon as I can, I'll start saving again. And I can even save more than usual to build up my savings faster. And I can start with $100 a month and increase it from there. And even if it takes years, I know it will get back to where it was before I lost everything. I also think about this for my business. If my business fails, I know I can get a job making decent money to support my family no matter what. I also know that we could move in with our in laws if something really crazy happened. And none of these are things that I want to do. But I think the power here is having a plan and knowing that no matter what, you're not going to end up destitute on the streets if if a recession happens or if you lose your savings or whatever it is. So that is the simple exercise. And so if there's something that is bothering you in the middle of the night every night, or at bedtime every night, then this can really help to get these thoughts out on paper and come up with a solution. And so then when you're awake the next time and you're like, oh, but the recession, you can think, oh, but I have a plan for this. Or, oh, I've been through this before. I know everything's going to be okay no matter what. So that is that simple exercise. And you can use this for anything, for any kind of stressful situation. If you're worried about losing your job, your boyfriend breaking up with you, getting COVID, this was really, I had a lot of my clients do this during COVID. Like, what is your actual worst fear of getting COVID? And just think of the worst possible thing that can happen and what you will do about it. And then you have that freedom. Now, before I go, I do want to add that this mental stress can definitely play a role in our sleep, but it's not the only thing that's playing a role in our sleep. And this really came to me the other night because I got up in the middle of the night, went to the bathroom, which I do most nights, came back, went to bed, and my thoughts started racing a little bit about something that happened with my son and I earlier. So my son is 6 years old. He had a meltdown in public at the neighborhood pool, and it was kind of traumatizing for me and probably for him. And so I woke up thinking about that. But what I noticed is that I was able to say, okay, worry about that tomorrow. And I went back to sleep. And I know that back when I struggled to sleep, I would have made that mean, oh, this is the thing that's keeping me up. But now I realize that it's not, because when I'm sleeping well, because my body's back in balance, I am able to go back to sleep just fine. And back when I had sleep problems, I also had things going on in my body that were causing stress, that were causing cortisol to be released in the middle of the night. And once cortisol is released, then and other stress hormones, then that leads to your mind racing or to you thinking about things. And of course, your mind's going to go to what is most stressful. But most of the time, it's not that mental stress that's keeping us awake. Now, if especially if it's something acute and every now and then. Now, if you're constantly under a lot of stress or worried about something, or have health issues or something like that, then yes, that can lead to you waking up, but there's usually something physical going on as well. And once you remove those physical imbalances, then the thoughts come up in the middle of the night or at bedtime, and you can easily brush them away and go quickly back to sleep. So I hope that this really helps you with a tool if you are worried about the economy or anything else right now. And if and doing this before bedtime or a couple hours before bedtime can really help to get all those thoughts out, get them on paper and out of your brain. And if this isn't helping, there's something deeper going on. There's also something in your body that is keeping you awake. And that's what I talk about on a lot of my other episodes, you know, hormone imbalance, a pathogen in the gut, liver dysfunction, heavy metals, mineral imbalances. There's so many different things that aren't really talked about, but that can lead to insomnia. And we can use functional lab testing. We can use that science to find out what is out of balance in your body so that we know what to correct. All right. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next week.